Magandang Sabado. Linda, what a beautiful Saturday it is.
Absolutely marvelous
It
day
is
today.
Magandang Sabado, right?
Magandang Sabado, for sure.
For sure. Well, you know what? We have a very, very incredible episode today because we are going to talk about what can quietly derail, maybe it's not quiet, but derail a real estate transaction.
Okay.
You know? And who is the best person to talk about keeping transactions on the trail and being very careful about that?
Okay, the expert in that field would be none other than attorney Joe Agnello.
That's
with
right.
Agnello and Rogers.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hey, well, you just came from a really, really incredible trip, right?
I had an amazing trip.
Tell us a little bit tell our listeners about it. You went to?
So 22 years ago, my wife and I on our honeymoon got married in the Chicago area, and we went to Italy for our honeymoon. We went to Sorrento and we went to Rome. We just repeated our honeymoon this time with our two grown kids.
Wow.
And it was amazing.
Wow, so you haven't been there for how long?
It's been since 2004, September 2004.
So it's been like 20 some years, right?
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been married?
We've been married that same
Yes.
22 years.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we just celebrated our 29th year just this past
fantastic.
weekend. So
Congratulations.
yes. These anniversaries are so cool, you know. So, but okay. So, did you go to the spots that you went to on your
Went
honeymoon?
to the same exact spots. We ran into one of the same waiters that we.
You kidding me?
He was in a photo of ours at a restaurant.
You kidding me?
Yeah, no.
20 years later,
he
it's the
was
same.
blown away. He was blown away. He loved it. It
Wow.
it was an amazing trip.
Wow. And Joe, you are of Italian descent,
Yes.
right? So, were you born in Italy or your first generation?
I'm third generation.
Third
actually.
generation.
Some of my grandfather's older siblings are born in Sicily, and he was born here. So technically, he's first generation, but he was much more like, an immigrant because of the neighborhood he grew up in. His family were all immigrants, and
Wow.
So technically, I'm third generation, but
You're
it's
third
more like
generation.
second.
Wow. And do you speak Italian at all, or?
No, my grandparents spoke different languages. My grandfather's Sicilian, my grandmother's from Potenza, and their languages were very different. So it never really passed down. Plus, that generation that came here around 100 years ago, they didn't push it. They didn't try to continue that going down. It was a very different time. Today, more modern Italian immigrants, maybe over the past 40, 50 years, they do. All of those kids speak Italian. But it didn't transfer down. So I know a lot of words. I just can't put it all together and communicate.
So
But I did okay.
you did okay. But before you went on the trip, what were the things that you had to keep in mind? Which is kind of, you just didn't decide to go to Italy, right?
That's right.
What had to happen? First,
So-
you can't be away from your business for a
That's
long
right.
time. How long were you
I was
gone?
gone 2 weeks.
2 weeks
in May,
in
which
May.
is almost insane thinking about it in
That's
this
right.
industry.
That's right.
But I had to do a lot of planning.
Okay.
And here's a fantastic passage, everything we're going to be talking about today. In Luke 14:28, Jesus asked, "For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it?" I mean, it seems obvious, but we see so many people jump into things without counting the cost.
That's right.
So I talked to my wife. Hey, look, I think we should make this trip. We'd been talking about it for years, doing it. I think we need to do it.
How long did you start that planning?
So we've been talking about it kind of in the background for a few years. And we always kind of planned on 20th, 25th anniversary, something like that. Let's go there with our kids. Well, this is our 22nd year, right? We're in the 22nd year. So let's just do it. And we did. And we sat down and back in October, I think it was, and we started counting the cost. Where would we go? What would we do? Would we go somewhere new? What's the airfare going to be like? Is this the right time to buy, or is a later time the right time to buy? We picked the right time, I will tell you that, because before the war broke out, it was a lot cheaper than it is now.
Wow.
I think tickets, get fuel prices spiked.
Yes,
and everything.
yes.
And where were we going to go?
Right.
We went to the same hotel that we spent our honeymoon at. It was amazing in the hills of Sorrento. We reached out to them. They loved the story that we were coming back, 22 years later. It was truly amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You could walk out of your hotel, see Mount Vesuvius in the distance, Bay of Naples right out your window. Truly amazing. Best food in the world or the Naples region. Best food in the world.
Now Sorrento is where the buildings is all white and they have that one that's blue on the top.
Close. That's
Okay.
it sounds like you're describing the Amalfi Coast.
Okay.
Greece also
Mhm.
is a lot like that, but this
Mhm.
was an old Greek
Older.
colony.
Okay.
Where it started, so very similar ways, right?
Okay.
But the Amalfi Coast is right around the corner from Sorrento. So if
Okay.
you go to Sorrento, you can take a little boat ride to the Isle of Capri. You can go down, take a boat ride or a car ride to the Amalfi Coast, which is one of the most photographed coastlines in the world, and absolutely amazing. But you need to figure out, where am I going and how am I getting there? You don't just jump into a foreign land and say, okay, I'm here, I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Is the neighborhood going to be safe that you go through?
You're
Nobody
very,
should
very
just-
careful.
Very careful. Nobody goes through Naples haphazardly. You need to figure out what you're doing. You wouldn't do that in Chicago as somebody from, another country or even from another state. You
Another
need to figure
suburb.
out another suburb, for that matter. You need to figure out, where am I going? How am I going to get there? Is it going to be safe? Especially if you're taking your family, right? You count the cost of every step of the way. Am I going to go see the most beautiful spaces? And we did, by the way. I didn't use a travel agent. Travel agents are wonderful, not knocking them. Sometimes they're necessary. I don't need one for Italy. I knew exactly what I was doing, knew exactly where I was going, because I counted the cost. I did my research, and we had been there before, so I kind of knew. And it worked out perfect. It was seamless. It was beautiful. It was amazing.
Well, what's the weather like?
It's interesting. So a couple weeks later, it was much hotter than we were there. A week later, it was hotter. It was, I think, perfect. It was 60s and 70s the entire time I was there.
Wow.
Brief rain one day, and that was it.
Wow.
And it starts to get hot, though, very fast after May.
Wow. Well, you're right. Be careful, right? Be careful. And that is the theme of our episode today. And the Tagalog word for careful is ingat. Ingat, right? I know that's
Ingat.
kind of hard.
Ingat.
Ingat. Okay. So ingat is the word that's careful. Be careful. So a lot of planning, right? Because when people buy the biggest investment transaction of their lives, or actually when they're ready to sell, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to be careful about, right?
Yes.
So, and that's kind of where our talk today, okay, is that we're going to go through a few things that, hey, did you think about this, right? Did you think about this? So, so with you, Joe, we're calling this episode Before You Sign, okay? These are the seller secrets and buyer blind spots that can blow up at closing, right?
That's right.
So most people do not lose money in real estate because they were trying to be reckless, right? The money that they lost, the lost money is because they did not know what mattered, right? And they did not know who was on title. They did not know. So tell me about that. Why should they know who is on title?
People make so many assumptions in this industry. It never ceases to amaze me, actually. People assume that they're the only ones that own the property and they don't have to worry about anything else. Many times a parent or a former in-law co-signed on a loan and they're on title.
Oh no.
A spouse, they get divorced, that doesn't mean that they're off title. And I've had the situation where they couldn't even contact the ex-spouse. They had no way of reaching them.
And you can't really transfer the property without
No.
the release
That's
of
right.
who owns the title.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. No way around that.
No way around it. What if the spouse passed away, but they were holding title in a way that ownership didn't pass to the surviving spouse? And now there has to be a probate. There's a lot of problems that really need to be looked at up front when you're getting ready, before you sign a contract, when you're getting ready for the sale.
Well, there's a lot more to this, and I want you to really get into it a little bit more because this is scary stuff. This is scary stuff.
It is.
So what we're doing is we're always kind of like giving people some ideas on what's happening in the local area. That's fun, but be careful. So
That is correct. So let's take some of that fear away and that scariness. Let's talk about the summer culture and family fun that's happening this weekend. So let's kick off the weekend with color, culture, and community. On Saturday, July the 11th, head to Calabria's 4th annual Mila Festival from 12 p.m. until 8 p.m. at Chicago's Women's Park and Gardens at 1801 South Indiana Avenue. The cost is free. Enjoy South Asian music, dance, art, food, vendors, and hands-on culture experience. It's a passport around South Asia without even leaving Chicago. And next up for art lovers, this one is for you. The Southport Art Fest runs Saturday and Sunday, July the 12th from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. at 3733 North Southport Avenue. That cost is free too. Expect 100 artists and neighborhood energy. Come on out and enjoy.